In 1988, as Japan's economy soared, Toyota gambled nearly $1 billion to build a car so precisely engineered it made rival American sedans feel outdated overnight. Tighter panel gaps, thicker glass, and materials usually reserved for luxury showed this was more than just another Camry. It was a calculated assault on the American market. But beneath that flawless exterior lies a story of risk and obsession few people truly understand. The question is, what did Toyota know that its competitors didn't? Early 1988. Inside Toyota's executive offices, the numbers on the boardroom table dwarfed anything the company had ever risked on a family sedan. The Japanese stock market was climbing toward its all-time high, and there was a sense that the future belonged to those willing to spend big. Toyota's planners saw opportunity in America's sprawling suburbs, where the Camry's narrow, tax-friendly dimensions had become a liability against the Ford Taurus and Honda Accord. Their answer was radical: invest nearly $1 billion to build a Camry that would not just compete, but overwhelm. The plan called for a wide-body redesign, adding nearly 6 inches in length and 2 inches in width. This was not just a facelift. It was a ground-up engineering project, with every component scrutinized for quality and durability. The mandate was clear: no shortcuts, no cost-cutting. Materials that would have been dismissed as too expensive for a mainstream car were now standard. Triple-sealed doors, thicker glass, and a platform robust enough to share with the Lexus ES300 all pointed to a single goal: make the Camry feel like a luxury car, even at a family sedan price. Toyota's gamble was fueled by the optimism and hubris of the bubble era. The company opened its Georgetown, Kentucky plant in 1988, betting that American-built quality could match anything from Japan. By late 1988, the final design was locked. The Camry was no longer just a car for the cautious commuter. It was a billion-dollar bet on dominating the world's most competitive car market. Inside the Georgetown plant, Toyota manufacturing engineers worked with a level of precision usually reserved for luxury cars. Every body panel was measured and remeasured, with gaps held to just 3 or 4 millimeters, sometimes half what was typical for a Ford Taurus or Chevrolet Lumina of the same era. Calipers clicked down the line, checking door alignment, hood fit, trunk seams. Where competitors allowed visible misalignment or wavering edges, the Camry bodywork met with near-surgical consistency. The glass told the same story. Side windows were 4 to 5 millimeters thick, adding weight and cost, but also giving a solid, muted feel when the doors closed. Thicker glass meant fewer rattles and better insulation from the outside world. It was a detail that rarely made it into spec sheets, but it changed how the car felt on every drive. Rust-proofing was not left to chance. Every shell passed through multi-stage baths and sealants, with extra attention paid to hidden seams and wheel arches, spots where rivals would often cut corners. The result was a car that, even after years on salted winter roads, resisted the bubbling and flaking that doomed so many competitors. These choices were not about flash. They were about measurable quality, tighter tolerances, heavier materials, and a process control mindset that made the Camry feel as if it belonged in a different class. The investment was visible not just in the showroom, but in the way the car endured decades of real-world use. Under the hood of the 1992 Camry, Toyota placed their trust in a 2.2-liter four-cylinder engine known as the 5SFE. This was not an engine built for drama or speed records. Instead, it was engineered for one thing above all else: survival. The cast iron block gave it a solid backbone, resisting heat and wear in a way that aluminum rivals struggled to match. Mechanics who spent years working on these cars often described the 5SFE as impossible to kill. One of its quiet triumphs was the non-interference valve train. In most engines of the era, a snap timing belt could mean disaster. Bent valves, ruined pistons, a repair bill that often sent the car to the scrapyard. But with the 5SFE, if the timing belt failed, the engine simply stopped. No catastrophic damage, just a new belt and back on the road. This single design choice saved thousands of Camrys from an early end and made them a favorite among independent mechanics who valued cars that did not punish owners for missing a maintenance interval. Stories spread about these engines starting after years of neglect, 10,000-mile oil changes, skipped tune-ups, and still firing up on the first try. While Toyota never recommended such abuse, the folklore persists for a reason. The 5SFE was not just reliable on paper, it earned its reputation in driveways, garages, and used car lots across America. It was the mechanical heart that kept the Camry promise of longevity alive year after year. In a field where most family sedans let in a steady background of road and engine noise, Toyota's NVH team, many of whom had just come off the Lexus ES300 project, brought a new standard to the mainstream market. They started with the subframes, isolating the suspension and drivetrain from the passenger cabin using thick rubber bushings and additional asphalt dampening. Triple sealed doors, dense carpets, and a firewall layered with insulation worked together to hush the outside world. The result was a car that at 60 miles per hour registered cabin noise so low it rivaled cars twice the price. While the BMW E34 5 Series posted sound readings around 70 decibels at highway speed, the Camry routinely measured between 65 and 68 decibels, numbers more often quoted by luxury brands than by family sedans. Reviewers in the 1990s described the experience as uncanny. Wind and tire noise faded to a muted hum even over rough pavement. Vibrations that would rattle dashboards in a Taurus or an Accord simply disappeared. This quietness surprised many. For many drivers, this quiet confidence became the Camry's signature trait, proof that Toyota's obsession with refinement could be felt, not just seen. It was a level of comfort that made daily commutes feel effortless and set a new bar for what a mainstream car could deliver. In owner circles, the 1992 to 1996 Camry earned a nickname that stuck: cockroach. It is not exactly glamorous. The meaning is clear: these cars refuse to die. Stories of odometer readings of 300,000 miles are common, but the real proof hides in the details. Junkyards across the country hold 1994 Camrys with dashboards that look untouched, seats that still hold their shape, and switches that click like new. Owners swap tales of daily commutes, cross-country moves, and forgotten oil changes, yet the Camry keeps going. For many, it is not just a car. It is an old friend that simply will not quit, a survivor in a world where most cars fade long before their time. For families who needed more than a sedan, the Camry wagon offered a glimpse into Toyota's obsession with practical detail. Instead of the typical single rear wiper found on most wagons, Toyota fitted two, each sweeping a precise arc to clear the wide back glass, a solution that seemed almost excessive but left no streaks behind. Inside, the wagon could be ordered with a rear-facing third row, boosting capacity to 7 and giving children a view rarely found outside of a station wagon or a full-size van. This setup made the Camry wagon a quiet outlier, less flashy than a minivan, but with a kind of versatility and durability that made it a favorite among those who valued substance over trend. While the world chased SUVs, Toyota quietly built a family hauler that felt engineered for the long haul. Independent mechanics have a running joke about the 90s Camry. Fix the brakes and tires, and you will not see the owner again for years. The car's reliability meant it simply faded into the background, quietly running without complaint or fanfare. Meanwhile, the first X510 Camry rolled off the Georgetown, Kentucky assembly line in 1991, setting a new benchmark for American-built quality. By the late 1990s, Camry sales charts told the story. Toyota's bet had paid off, with the Camry becoming the best-selling car in America. The workforce at TMMK proved that world-class standards were not just an import, they could be built right in the heart of Kentucky. 3 decades on, the Camry's legacy is clear. Durability and thoughtful engineering still earn trust in a market obsessed with novelty. As cars become more disposable, the XD10 quietly questions what we value: longevity or the next upgrade. Sometimes the greatest innovation is simply refusing to cut corners.